Alright, so I'm out here getting ready to do a reproducibility test based on the interesting results I got from the last two videos, which I'll link on the screen here. So I was comparing two different grip alignments where the disc is aligned differently in the hand. I'll show those in a moment. And one of them was my normal, and then there's the different grip alignment. And I was pouring the tea with both of them. I got like 2 degrees more nose down with one of them, the newer one, so I decided let me try throwing some without pouring the tea. And then surprisingly, I got 2 degrees additional more nose down for a 4 degrees total, which doesn't seem to make sense because I stopped trying to pour the tea. So we're gonna test it again without pouring the tea and see if those nose down numbers line up to what I got last time. And last time I also was accidentally throwing a little bit of a lower launch angle on that test, so I need to try to make sure that the launch angle is more consistent with the other throws that I was doing. So I'm gonna use the results from the last video for my normal grip, which is from between the index finger and middle finger and then down through the center of the palm. That's my normal grip. And then the new one that's being tested is just moving the back of the disc here, keeping the alignment at the fingers, and then moving the back so that this part of the palm is above the rim. So in this F1P-3 grip alignment I'm testing, when I add grip pressure to it, I think because of where it puts my thumb further out in front of my index finger, it seems to kind of just putting grip pressure, the thumb naturally wants to pour the tea. So maybe when I try to force pouring the tea, it doesn't work as well, but when I don't force it and let the grip do it, it gets me more nose down. So we'll have to see in the throws if it looks like I'm pouring the tea or not. Alright, so I'm not actively trying to pour the tea. Alright, the first two throws were just a tiny bit of nose down. Let me try gripping it a little bit harder, which kind of folds the disc a little bit in my hand. Wow, so that's got to be it. -6 nose down immediately as I gripped the disc a little bit harder and it folded the disc. It's not that I think the folding of the disc is causing the nose to be down. It's just a reference point for how much pressure I'm applying in the grip, and I think this is ESP plastic, which is like star plastic. It's kind of soft, so I'm starting to think here that maybe either the thumb pressure or the extra pressure from the palm on the disc is having something to do with it. And the disc is folding like from both the thumb and the back of the palm, applying a pressure. So I'm going to continue gripping hard. Alright, that last one wasn't as nose down, so yeah, part of me like doesn't want to fully grip hard in this grip because it's so weird feeling the disc deforming. It makes me think, it's going to mess up something like wobble or whatever, but it doesn't seem to. Alright, so I'm going to try gripping it even harder. Man, -5.7. That's interesting. And the speed went up even though I felt like I was throwing kind of with the same effort. think maybe part of why the speed is increasing as I grip harder is it's just something that normally goes together. When I'm trying to throw harder, I grip harder, so I might just automatically be putting in some more effort without really thinking about it. Alright, I'm just going to rapid fire a handful more off of camera and add those to the stats as well.
Alright, so here are the previous test stats and the retested stats to see if it's reproducible. And the nose angle went down 1.5, but it's still quite a bit lower than my normal F1P-3 grip alignment, even when I'm actively pouring the tea with that alignment, which barely gets me to a 0 nose angle. So -3 extra or more is what it seems like this grip is alignment is giving me, even when I'm not trying to actively pour the tea, which is pretty awesome.
Alright, so I think with this retest, the results were mostly reproduced, despite there being a small change in the nose angle. It wasn't as nose down on the retest, but it's still considerably more nose down than my normal F1P-3 grip alignment. So I think the change in nose angle is mostly just because I had a larger sample size on the retest. I wanted to do extra throws just to make sure. So this does give me more confidence that something about this F1P-3 grip alignment is giving me more nose down, but it also raises more questions about, what exactly about the grip is giving me more nose down. Is it the alignment of the grip, or is it how it changes where my thumb pressure is in relation to where my index finger is? And in this retest, I found that with a more grip pressure, I was getting more nose down. So was that the grip pressure overall, or was it mostly just the thumb pressure? So perhaps I'll test trying to keep my overall grip pressure medium, but focus on extra thumb pressure as much as I can on its own without increasing the rest of the grip pressure. I don't think I can really do it completely separately, but I can do it a little bit, so that would be interesting. And then there's also different thumb positions with this grip and other grips, of course. So here's this alignment for the F1P-3 that I was testing. So the thumb is a lot more in front of my index finger than it usually is. So when I push on the thumb, there's no resistance underneath from my index finger. So it kind of feels like it makes me want to pour the tea just by pressing with the thumb, because the index finger doesn't meet that pressure. But also interestingly, holding the disc in this alignment makes it appear more nose up compared to my normal alignment down the middle of the palm. But all that stuff is confusing and misleading, because where is the actual nose once the disc spins out? But also the thumb placement, more towards the rim or more towards the flight plate. With this grip, I was kind of putting it just on the flight plate right next to the rim. So I could also try putting it in between both of them and seeing if I still get more nose down. And then compared to my normal grip, my thumb ends up being, you can see my index finger, it's like right over the index finger. So when I put thumb pressure, I can put this thumb pressure and my wrist doesn't have a natural tendency to start pouring the tea like it does when the thumb is out in front. I start pushing it and you see the disc starts folding forward, and that kind of makes my wrist want to go into pouring the tea. However, when I was looking at the footage, it's not clear enough without a high-speed camera and different angles whether I was pouring the tea like at the hit point or not, despite me not trying to pour the tea actively. Uh, but in the reach back, it didn't look like I was pouring the tea with this grip. Um, and you can see in the very first throw, before I throw, I pour the tea fully and then I undo it to try to make sure I'm not doing it, so you can see what it looks like when I'm pouring the tea. When I'm when I'm not pouring the tea, first of all, like the fist is a little bit wider than the wrist, so it always looks like there's a little bit of a downward angle here that can look a little bit like some pouring of the tea is happening, but I'm not pouring the tea at all here. This is what it looks like when I'm pouring the tea. And then when you add the weight of the disc into the equation, like if I relax my wrist, it naturally pours a little bit, but not fully. So there's probably some pouring the tea going on, just naturally without me trying. And I think that this grip perhaps just makes it easier to pour the tea naturally without having to force it. However, in my other grip, my normal F1P-0 grip, when I pour the tea as much as I can, I rarely ever get to like -2 or below nose angle. So I'm suspicious that it's just more pouring the tea that this grip is promoting that's resulting in more nose down. But I'm not sure what else it could be. Maybe just the last moment of contact with that thumb being in front of the index finger as it's slipping out, it's tilting the disc more nose down. Also, interestingly, in my normal grip, my thumb naturally goes above the index finger, but I do have some space here. I can slide the thumb forward a little bit and get it a little bit in front of the index finger. So that's something else possibly to test in my normal grip. Do I get more nose down that way? So in the last video, I asked the question, am I going to switch to this grip? And I wasn't sure because I was, waiting for to confirm if the results were reproducible. So after this, it definitely makes me want to start using it more and experimenting with it more in, on the course and in the field. So what's great about this F1P-3 grip alignment and how it's getting me more nose down is I didn't have to think about any more complicated techniques to get the nose down, like trying to do an inverted swoop or turning the key. I just tried to do a normal throw where I'm trying to throw on plane. However, I do like turning the key for a number of reasons. One is that holding the disc like this is a little bit more comfortable. You can be more relaxed. But two is pronation and shoulder internal rotation go in the same direction. So when you pronate during the reach back, it makes it easier to internally rotate your shoulder and keep your elbow up. So I like to do it as a way to, reinforce keeping my elbow up and internally rotating the shoulder. But it would be nice if, for example, if I want to go get -4 nose down, I don't have to try to turn the key as aggressively because this grip is already giving me more nose down. So I can be more comfortable about it. And the more aggressive you try to turn the key, the more likely you are to externally rotate your shoulder and do some other stuff with your form that could be detrimental.